Assalamu alaikum, dear students of Honors Department of English, Dhaka Women College, 4th year. You are welcome to online class going to taken by Sheikh Jahangir Hussain, head of the Department of English. By this time, you know, I have delivered 3 lectures of the 19th century novel Pride and Prejudice. So, I like to deliver the next lecture about the summary of Pride and Prejudice. First of all, you should identify myself. Dhaka Women College, Depth of English, Honors 4th year, course 241101, lecture number 4, Sheikh Jahangir Hussain. So, this lecture number is 4. And the summary will be delivered of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Very important, I think. But before going to deliver the summary of Pride and Prejudice, you should have to remember the past lecture. Jane Austen actually is one of the greatest novelists of 19th century. Was born in Hampshire, England, and died 1775. Only 41 years. She had to survive in this world and died 1817. But actually, Jane Austen's career spans are very brief and short. Jane Austen's career and works. So her 6 novels were published within only 7 years. So it was very difficult for a writer to complete 6 novels within 7 years. Most of her works and remarkable works or novels are, you know, Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, etc. etc. But we want to learn, and you want to learn mainly the Pride and Prejudice. This is the syllabus under National University. So, first of all, you should have emphasis on this. But before going to deliver the summary of Pride and Prejudice, I think you have to remember the past, the historical background of the time of Victorian age. So this is important. The background history of Victorian age is very significant in the history of English literature, because during this time a lot of writers were born, including our writer Jane Austen. The age was commonly associated with the reign of Queen Victoria, you know, who came to the British throne born 1837. The age of Queen Victoria was actually much important, or most important significance in the history of England and also English literature. So, it has a specific significance in the history of England. The age is considered the age of peace, growth of all fronts. Actually, London became the center of whole world as literature, political, economic, and industrialization also. Adventure is also seen during the time of Queen Victoria. So it is the age of faith and doubt of science and religion. Actually, Victorian era started mainly 1837 until it ends 1901. It was a fruitful time, effective time, especially in English literature. While romantic period dominated the whole of the English period, it was the novel that most important in this period and Victorian era, the novel became the leading part or leading literary genre in English. Not only this, during this time, not only our writer Jane Austen, but some other writers were born, and they also contribute in English literature. Charles Dickens, next William Thackeray, three Bronte sisters, Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, Annie Bronte, George Eliot, Thomas Hardy, a lot of major novelists. And not only this, some poets were born in that time, like Alfred Tennyson, Robert Browning, Elizabeth B. Browning, Matthew Arnold, etc., etc. So, okay, dears, come to the point. Summary of Pride and Prejudice. Summary of Pride and Prejudice. First of all, the theme. What is the theme of this Pride and Prejudice? You know, first of all, Jane Austen is one of the greatest novelists of 19th century, and her most remarkable and important work or novels, Pride and Prejudice, which was written by mainly 1797, and the first title of this novel was The First Impression, and it was published in 1830. And before this novel, you know, another novel was published, Sense and Sensibility. It was published in 1811. But the theme of the novel mainly centered around the marriage. 7 marriages are found in Pride and Prejudice, and all the marriages mainly review the requirements of good and bad. So, marriage and courtship are the central theme of Pride and Prejudice, and through these, our writer Jane Austen very technically produced everything of English culture. Now, we like to go the another. Some characters are there, important characters, you know. 5 marriageable daughters are found in Mr. Bennet's family. Bennet and Miss Bennet, and the eldest daughter Jane, second daughter Elizabeth, third daughter Maria, and fourth Catherine or Kitty, and the last one is Lydia. And some other male characters are found, mainly Bingley. A good courtship was set up with Jane and Elizabeth, Darcy, Wickham, etc., etc. A lot of characters are there. So you should have to remember first the character. Bingley, a new neighbor who actually is a rich man, wealthy and handsome and also attractive bachelor, who came Longbourn. Longbourn is a place where Mr. Bennet's family live, and Mr. Bingley is a bachelor. He became a tenant at that place. For this reason, Bennet's family became very happy that they themed or they remembered that one of the daughters will be married by Bingley, because they are very anxious about the 5 marriageable daughters. Though Mr. Bingley's income was yearly 4,000 or 5,000. So Bennet's family see him as an eligible person for one of their 5 marriageable daughters. Their hopes are born out when he is attracted to Jane. We see there is a relationship between Jane and Bingley. And next, second eldest daughter, Elizabeth, takes an instant dislike to Bingley's friend Darcy. So there is another courtship, Darcy and Elizabeth. And Darcy actually appears to be very proud, supercilious man, rich, handsome, aristocratic, highly paid, owner of a company, and also attractive and also smart. So here comparatively, Darcy is very strong from all sides. So while Jane and ultimately Jane and Bingley by this time made a good relationship. They love each other very much, and their love is very pure, fresh, and very interesting. So when we see Jane's affair is going on, or in a progressive way or progressive position, Elizabeth is courted by Mr. Collins, an unlikable swordsman. There is some problem. Longbourn Benner's family, arrival of Mr. Bingley, affair. Yes, they made a good affair each other. But some problems are arise when Mr. Courtship and problem. When Mr. Collins, another person who is rich also, but he is a cousin of Benner's family, who came in this family to marry anyone. And not only this, he was actually the only heir of the estate of Benner's family. So ultimately the problem has been arisen, and when Collins wanted to marry anyone, mainly Elizabeth, but Elizabeth loved Darcy very much. So the relationship between Elizabeth and Darcy was going on. But here are two important criteria are found. What are they? They are that Elizabeth belongs Prejudice and Darcy belongs Pride. So according to the name, according to the characteristics of Darcy and Elizabeth, the novel's name is Pride and Prejudice. So we see who is Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins is an unlikable swordsman, cousin of Mr. Benn, and only one legal heir to the small estate of Mr. Bennet. So when Elizabeth refuses proposal, ultimately Collins turns to her best friend, Elizabeth's best friend, Charlotte Lucas. But surprisingly, Charlotte Lucas accepted his proposal, and they married. So it was an ironical attitude by Charlotte Lucas, and Charlotte Lucas married Collins only to get the financial security. So we can see here, or in the novel, financial security, financial support, and financial assessment is one of the most important element during the time of Queen Victoria in England to marry anyone. So finance is first to marry. So if anyone to marriage or to marry, ultimately financial support is very important. So we can see some courtship and problem. What are the problem? Courtship and problem. When the relationship is going to build up deeply, suddenly Bingley leaves for London. What I say, when Jane and Bingley were in one, and their relation and the romantic or the chemistry is going on seriously or very affectionately, and during that time Mr. Bingley had left Longbourn and went for or lives for London. So normally chances are going to be diminished, because Bingley's sister Caroline and also Darcy contribute to keep him away from another progress of Bingley of the affair with Jane. Why? Because Jane was born in a middle class. So ultimately there is a classical differences. Class problem is there. Mr. Bingley is upper class, and Mr. Benner's family, that is Jane, is the middle class family. So class situation is one of the most important. Class distinction is one of the most important point to love each other. But actually, Bingley loved Jane very much. But only his sister tried to make an interruption and make problem. So here we see the problem was overcome by only Bingley because their love appears at last second. Next, Elizabeth finds another reason for disliking Darcy. You know, Darcy is a very proud man. He had a great pride because he was actually a wealthy man, a aristocratic family where he was born. So ultimately, the class distinction is there. So Elizabeth did not like, first of all, him when she hears from Pope named Wickham. Wickham, you know, is a scoundrel, is a criminal who has flattered her shamefully. That Darcy ruined his prospectus years before. So Wickham has created this problem. So there is a distinction, there is a problem between Elizabeth and Darcy. But Elizabeth visits Colin's parsonage, that is the family. Elizabeth meets Darcy again and is associated when he proposes. So here we see Mr. Darcy is really a great man, is a noble man. So during the time of meeting or visiting by Elizabeth with Darcy again proposed to build up or to make a courtship or relationship, and she refuses this time and betrays him that his treatment of Jane and Wickham, because there is some problem. And what are the problems? Elizabeth did not understand the reality. What are the reality? Elizabeth, first of all, he belongs Prejudice, so he did not like Darcy. Though Darcy is a young man, smart, energetic, and a wealthy man, and really a handsome and smart. But the problem when Darcy refused to dance with Elizabeth, because Elizabeth was not that kind of lady, he reminds Elizabeth. So Elizabeth became very angry. But when the next time Darcy explains in a letter that he had not realized the depth of Jane's affection for Bingley, because Bingley is too beautiful, too much beautiful, not Elizabeth. But actually in this novel we see the hero, main hero and the heroine, Darcy and Elizabeth, because there are some complexity, there are some difficulties, some problems in their relationship. But actually the later that had not realized the depth of Jane's affection for Bingley, Wickham is really a scoundrel, a criminal who attempted to seduce his sister and to get money from her. So when this corruption was reflected, Elizabeth understood everything. So Elizabeth understood the reality. She actually misjudged Darcy. And next time when she meets him again at his estate, at his wealthy farm, and finds him to be a precious, a vulnerable and host who is virtually worshipped by his employee. So all the employees of his farm became very, very happy, and they loved their boss very much. And at the end of the drama, novel, we see the reconciliation. Actually, their reconciliation is jeopardized. How about they by the sudden elopement of Wickham? Actually, when Wickham eloped, the last and the youngest daughter of the Bennet's family, Lydia, when she was eloped by Wickham, a criminal and Bennets are in a position where they must be welcome to marry their daughter. They became very anxious, they became very worried, and ultimately the family was in a trouble. And during that time, Mr. Darcy has come forward to help them. However, surprisingly, the sum, Mr. Wickham demands some money from the Bennets family. So Bennets family really felt felt in problem. But Darcy has come and he saw the little sum of money. He demanded, Wickham demands is small actually. And Darcy has paid additional amount to the scoundrel of Mr. Wickham, who eloped Lida, the youngest daughter of the 5 marriageable daughters. So Darcy became very fresh, very pure, very gracious person, an honorable person, and he had a generosity. He's a noble man, and when he paid the demands of Wickham, Elizabeth really realizes and understands from the incident of the Darcy's love with her. So when he paid all the dues, all the debts of Wickham, ultimately Elizabeth understood or realizes that actually still Darcy is love with her, or Darcy loved her very much. Shortly, Bingley, very surprisingly, Bingley has come from London to Longbourn in her tented house. And when Bingley arrives, when Bingley arrives at the village, Longbourn, or in his own house, Pimberley House, at the village again, actually to renew the relationship between with Jane, because Jane is loved by Bingley very much, but only to do some work, family work, Bingley had to leave Longbourn and went to London. But within a very short time, Bingley arrived in Longbourn, and he wanted to make to renew the relationship with Jane, eldest daughter of Bennet family. So here we see the relationship is already built up. Next, Darcy by this time and Elizabeth apologizes to each other, because Darcy belongs proud, Elizabeth belongs prejudice according to their own character. But because they though love each other very devotionally, for this reason Darcy apologizes to Elizabeth. Elizabeth also apologizes to Darcy. So both apologizes each other for their primary pride and prejudice, for their first pride and prejudice, and in spite of the family objection, in spite of the family protest, Bingley and Darcy marry Jane and Elizabeth and make a comfortable future. So we see at the end of the novel ends in happy. That's happy ending of the novel is seen. So we can say that this novel actually depends, or the main theme of the novel or the summary of the novel is very nice and attractive, and marriage is one of the part of human life. So to marry anyone, ultimately money is also important. Money is also important. So at last we can say that money can build up relationship. Through this novel, actually Jane Austen very nicely and successfully produce or make a portrait or make a picture of London of Victorian time. So all the characters and all the characters actually reproduce or represents the real theme of England of that time. So at last we can say Jane Austen actually very nicely and successfully presents or represents the real picture of England of that time, especially Victorian time and especially the 19th century. So in 19th century we can say that money, wealth, party are very important. Okay, thank you dears. I think you can understand everything or the summary of novel Pride and Prejudice. So Pride and Prejudice is a successful novel of Jane Austen of 19th century among all the novelists of that time. Thank you all. Stay safe and stay blessed. Not only this, pray for everyone because we are watching a crisis moment. You know, a global pandemic affected and Bangladesh is one of them. So, dears, please pray for everyone. Pray for everyone. And I like to give another lecture next time. Most probably, the most important lecture will be held upon the theme of love and marriage and Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Please, dear, study theme of love and marriage in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Up to that, thanks a lot. Allah